But I have heard Finesse2tymes on my Pandora, when I have my Big Boogie station. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Big Boogie, okay? So now I don't really know much about Finesse2tymes, but yesterday I found out that his contract got leaked on the internet, right? So now Finesse2tymes, he's a rapper, and not only was it leaked, apparently, yes, Roxamel. Not only was it leaked, Finesse2tymes is crashing out on the internet because he says that he signed with his label, Mob Ties label 4 years ago, and he says they haven't made any money. And why is this? So somebody released the contract on social media where someone screenshotted it and then sent it to me. So I did not have a chance to, look at the original document. This is like third hand, but I took the information from what I can see. But essentially, Finesse2tymes' contract only got him 20% of any revenue he generated after all the bills were paid. Okay. So if he made $1 million, right, he wasn't getting 20% of $1 million. He was getting 20% of whatever was left after all the bills were paid. So after all the marketing, all the promotion, anything that the label did for him, he had to pay back, right? And then if anything was left over, he'd get 20% of that. Now, 70% was going to the label and the merchandising. But funny thing, the label and the merchandise label are owned by the same person. So one person is getting 70% of his everything that's coming through. And then on top of that, hey DJ Sweetness, on top of that, Finesse2tymes is saying, they're not helping him promote. He's like, I've been signed for 4 years. We've only put out 2 albums. And he is crying. He's saying, I want out this contract. It ain't good. I ain't making no money. I'm old. I'm 33. I'm about to die. I don't know how you get to 33 and you not have enough time, but he is very upset over his contract. Now, I connected with a well-established, thank you, J9 Esquire. Oh, she's right here in the comments. I was watching. Yes. So I was in J9 Esquire's live earlier today. J9 Esquire works in entertainment law. She has been in the music industry for over 26 years. And in terms of what you call splits when it comes to contracts and what I got from her, it is not uncommon for the label, for the for the distribution, for them to take the lion's share of whatever the artist is making, because usually the artists, they're signing to you because they want exposure, because they want distribution and all of those things, right? And I'm going to use a term that J9 Esquire used. A lot of times, if you're an artist who's been trying to make it for a while and somebody hands you a contract, you just happy to be here, so you sign it, right? Now, Finesse2tymes, he is 33 years old. He signed with Mob Ties about 4 years ago. So that means he was at least 29, right? When he signed this contract. Now, you signed it at 29, which means that you were a full-fledged adult. And I'm assuming that you had a clear head to where you had an opportunity to read this contract. Now, from what was sent to me, I saw that the contract was only 3 pages, which is crazy to me for an artist deal, considering all that an artist has to go through. But you, at 29 years of age, or whenever you signed this contract, you were of legal age, you were of sound mind, and even if you didn't take the opportunity to read the contract, hey, hon, you had the copy. Oh, not his? Wait, not his what? Can you elaborate on that? Oh, his, yeah, his.
They're saying that's why artists should go independent instead of going with major labels.
And yeah, and that's why you have that now. You have a lot more artists who, because of the internet, you're able to garner your own, your own following and things like that. Yeah, I did say it was 3 pages. It was definitely 3 pages, right? So Finesse2tymes, I don't know what his situation was before he got signed. What? I don't know what his situation I don't know what his situation was before he got signed to this label, but um oh yeah, is that him? Yeah, okay, hold on. Let's play a little clip so y'all can get used to Finesse2tymes. Turn it up. Okay, I'll explain later. Yes. Yes. So that's Finesse2tymes. Hopefully you guys recognize the song, right? So Finesse2tymes, he's saying, look, we've been on this label for 4 years. We've only put out 2 albums and we don't have any money. And he wants out. But the thing is, if you signed a contract as a full-fledged adult, when you had an opportunity to read it, you kind of put yourself in a bind. Now, there are a lot of clauses in this contract. I'm not going to get into the specifics. I actually would like you guys to follow up with J9 Esquire. She's in the comments right now because she was breaking it down. That is what she does for a living, talking about the different things that you need to be aware of in terms of an artist contract. But I just want to talk generally about contracts themselves. When you are getting into some type of legal agreement, okay, you need to understand that it's legally binding. You can't decide later on, well, I don't want this anymore. That's why you wrote it down on paper, okay? So what I wanted to do is go, before we get into the next stories, is take this Finesse2tymes case and use it to kind of reinforce the contract's concepts that I want you guys to understand. Okay. Now, some of this, for some of you, it might be repetitive, but repeating something makes it stick. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the 3 elements of a contract. You have offer, consideration, and acceptance. Those are the 3 basic things. I will mow your lawn for $50. The consideration is whatever you're mowing the lawn for, the money, whatever. And then acceptance is when the person says, yes, you can do that, right? Now, that is the basic. Those are just the basics of a contract. Now, when you're getting into these complicated artist contracts, there are many more things that you guys need to be aware of. A contract is so that everybody knows what is expected of them. Now, in this contract that Finesse2tymes, oh, thanks. I'm glad you enjoy it. In this contract that Finesse2tymes signed, he did not really, nothing was really spelled out. He was promised promotion, he was promised distribution, but there were no exact things. Like, what does promotion look like? How do I know that you're going to be doing your job? J9, you can also feel free to come up on here if you want to, and fill in it. And fill in any gaps that I'm missing. But so you can have the 3 basics parts of a contract, but you also, depending on the industry that you are in, you still want to get down to the granular things. Yes, maybe it's annoying, but had Finesse2tymes had counsel who was annoying, I don't know how else to say it, but that's the reason why you hire an attorney. They do all the annoying work. They check all to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. J9 said, had she seen that contract that Finesse2tymes had and he had been her client, she wouldn't have had him sign it, right? As well, you need to understand that you not understanding your contract. Who's that in the corner? You not understanding your contract as an adult, that's nobody's problem but your own, right? So I remember Megan Thee Stallion, she was complaining. She was signed to 1501 label, and she was complaining. She said she wanted out of her deal because she was only 22 and did it when she signed it, and but you were still at the, what is that? You were still at the age of majority. You were still 18 plus, so you were legally allowed to sign a contract. Plus, your mom was your manager. She was in the music business. Now, I don't know if she, I think she fulfilled all of her obligations for that contract, but her just saying, well, I was just 22, it doesn't matter. The moment you turn 18, you can legally sign a contract. Now, does that mean that you should? Maybe not. But your age has a lot to do with whether you can sign a contract, because they assume that because you are of a certain age, you got some sense. Finesse, you were 29 when you signed this contract. You telling me you just sign things and you don't read them? And as a matter, we all do that. Listen, we sign up on these apps and they have their terms and services and we don't read those. But when it comes to something like this, as an artist, where you the label, they're gonna be making money off your back.
Yeah.
You want to read the contract to make sure that they are working for the money that they're going to be making off of your back. Okay. Now, in terms of the terms, or what they call the splits for the contract, again, the label owner, he was getting about 70% of, or he is getting about 70% of what Finesse2tymes is making. Right now, most people will say, "Oh, that's unfair." But in the music industry, that's not that uncommon. Again, if you want the entertainment industry tea, you guys need to follow J9 Esquire. Okay, she was working in production for Hot 97 for 10 years, and she's been practicing entertainment law for 16 years. So she knows what she's talking about. Who am I coming through on? I'm like echoing. Okay. Anyway, but again, we want to use this story of Finesse2tymes. Okay, thank you. Of who unfortunately, he's having these issues with the label, and he's very concerned with the amount that he has to pay them. But that was partly your fault. This is why I tell you guys, you should never sign a contract before you read it. If you can't read it, upload it somewhere, have somebody read it to you. Get some type of help. You should never go into a situation legally binding yourself to something without understanding what you are signing. Now, there have people who have done that. I don't know if you remember Fantasia when she won American Idol. Did she win American Idol? Did she win? She did win. Yes, Fantasia Barrino, she did win. But she said that when she was on there that, she didn't know how to read. She signed those contracts without understanding what she was doing, right? So who knows what they could have had her sign. But of course, thank you, April. But of course, she has, recovered, and she's doing very well for herself. But again, it is very important. Look, if you don't know how to read, if you have reading difficulties, I don't know if your left eye is watering and you just don't want to read it yourself. There are many different things that you can do to make sure that you have an understanding of the document that you are signing. There is no excuse for you to be signing a document that you don't understand. And if anybody tries to rush you to sign a contract without you understanding it, don't do business with them, period. Okay? So that is the first story that we're talking about. All right. Do we have any questions about that before we move on? Do we need another Finesse2tymes music break? It's cool when they do it. Guys, I'm a fool. Don't mind me. Okay. All right. Good evening. Did you have a question?
Yeah, it's like for artists, like I don't know why they don't do the research of going into the business and not learning about the business of in music, because in a way you're thinking you're going to get all this fame and fortune, but in all you're pretty much going to get a little bit of that fame, but fortune may not come until later until you realize the paper that you sign is not going to. You're not going to generate all the millions of dollars.
Okay, well, here's what I found throughout the years of working with people, particularly creatives. Creatives don't care about paperwork. They just want to get their art out there. So they are not necessarily aware of all of the pitfalls that can happen. Now, because most artists are more savvy, they have a better idea of what they should be expecting, from or what they should be getting. But if you are someone who is, you're just like, this is my art, I just want to get my art out there, and somebody gives you a shot, like again, I'm using J9 Esquire's term, you just happy to be there, you're happy somebody is giving you a shot. So a lot of people, because they think it's a great opportunity, they will sign it over. And then of course you have copyright termination rights with come in, because you have the opportunity to get stuff back, but that's way down the line. But a lot of artists now, I don't think it's happening so much now, but a lot of artists, prior, especially when the labels were really making artists, they weren't just taking artists who already had a following. It's like you were the only and again, a lot of this that I heard, I be listening to my girl. Before we had the internet, how did artists get heard? How did artists get heard? Your only option was to get on a label and hopefully get on the radio. So labels were able to get away with this for a long time. But because of the internet, because now you can reach out to your audience directly, because of the democratization of information, where now artists understand what they need to be looking out for, it's not as rampant. But these contracts are not they're not out of the realm of what's normal within the music industry. Like things just work different in there, is what I'm finding. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
Wow. Also, you mentioned about Fantasia. Well, she mentioned years ago in an interview that she dropped out of middle school when she was in the 8th grade,
actually. Mm-hmm.
And she was pregnant.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. Yeah. And that probably led to, her not be, I'm not saying that, she couldn't recognize an A or a B. She could probably sign her name, but in terms of being people write contracts in what's called legalese. They use all of this jargon to make it sound super special, and you can get very overwhelmed by that. Most of the stuff that makes my clients frightened or scares them is just they can't understand. They don't understand what the terminology means. You can really intimidate someone with that. So that's what I meant by she couldn't read. She couldn't understand the contract. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like they skip the important part.
Yes, it's like you just like, oh, somebody's gonna give me a chance. I'm gonna be on the stage. I'm gonna be able to sing or rap or whatever. And I heard somebody. No, I saw somebody in J9 Esquire's live. They were saying that some artists have even bootlegged their own merchandise because they signed a bad deal and they were trying to make more money. Okay, so again, we don't want you to have to get into that situation. If you are an artist, if you don't understand the contract that they're asking you to sign, say, hey, give me 24 hours. If you don't have the funds to hire an attorney, find your smartest friend. Have them read it to you. If you don't have a smart friend, upload that document to ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it at least. Do something, please.